Yeah, you really don't like giving credit when credit is undeserved.
Dear Shandy.
Welcome back to another Dear Shandy Bachelor recap, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing quite well.
Quite well.
And how are you doing, my lady?
I'm doing quite well myself. We are recapping episode 2 of The Bachelor, season 26 today. But first, do we have some housekeeping? We do. The fashion section. Many of my longtime blog readers have been requesting that I reboot my fashion section where I name my best and worst dress from every episode. And you guys were so passionate in your requests that I have listened and am doing something about it. So for each episode, we will have a separate YouTube video for just the fashion breakdown, and they will come out shortly after the recap itself, hopefully on the same day. And so if you can go check it out. I'll link it below. And yeah. Okay.
Speaking of fashion, this is a nice getup.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love
Very
a
nice.
set.
This is a set.
Yeah. The nice thing about sets is you don't have to think about what things go with.
It's true. That's what I do. I have a set as well.
So Andy, overall thoughts on episode 2?
I think we should just get into it. You'll get my thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, I will admit that I didn't love this episode, and I had high hopes. Like I want this season to be good. I do.
I think, and I know that there's someone out there doing this.
Yeah.
I know there is.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I think.
Okay.
Let's downgrade that. I want to see from season 1, episode 1 of The Bachelor through every season of the franchise until now. I want to see a graph of the number of times the word "like" has been said.
Oh, yeah.
And I would suspect that not only is it a straight line up, but
It's steep.
I think this episode may have been the topper.
Yeah. It was a little painful at times. And look, I don't want to criticize the way people speak, but
No.
it's sort of like you lose sight of what they're even saying.
I'm not even criticizing it. I myself am guilty. I feel like I say more than I used to.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Okay, so we'll get going with where episode 2 picks up, which is the women all moving into the mansion. Lots of excitement all
Oh, yeah,
around. Lots
always.
of, oh my gods.
Yeah, the mansion.
There's talk about how legendary and iconic the Bachelor
I
Mansion
mean,
is.
it is.
And
I
as
agree.
usual, we get our forced Clayton from the balcony, which, by the way, they make you do. I hope no one thinks that the women just gather and do that.
Did you? I feel like you're the least yelling Clayton person I've ever met. Like when you were in that group doing it, did you actually just mouth it without saying it? I almost feel like you couldn't do it.
I was definitely half-hearted in my Juan Pablo.
So is that how you said it?
Something like that.
So like I'll be everybody else. Like this is how everybody else said it. They're like, Juan Pablo! Like do yours.
I think I was probably like in the back and I was like, Juan Pablo.
So exactly like that.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to make it seem like I think I'm too cool for school. It's just that's not what I would
It's just
ever
not
do.
your personality.
Yeah, I would never do that.
You can't do that. I'm not saying that you were being a jerk by not doing it properly.
Yeah, but I kind of am because I'm making other people pick up the slack.
Yeah, but you can't physically do it. It's like asking me to deadlift 800 pounds. I can try. I can't do it. Anyway, I would have enjoyed hearing an isolated audio on your Juan Pablo when you were forced to shout his name.
I was hidden in the background somewhere there. Okay, so Jesse Palmer.
Juan Pablo.
Okay, so Jesse Palmer arrives now and introduces himself as the new host of The Bachelor. And it's established that he too was The Bachelor many moons ago and he is now happily married. Andy, here you said, did he marry the girl he chose?
Well, I was confused because he said, having been on The Bachelor,
Yeah.
I know firsthand that this process works. But apparently it doesn't work. How did it work?
Yeah, it does not work most of the time. But yeah, it was funny how they kind of skimmed over that part. He's happily married now.
Yeah.
To be fair, he was the youngest ever Bachelor, and I think still to this day
really?
is. And the girl he chose was like 22. He was like 25, she was 22.
Oh, that's
like
silly.
that's the least surprising thing
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
Okay, so he drops off a date card, which Rachel reads. And going on this first group date are Teddy, NC, Melina, Gabby, Kira, Mara, Sierra, Genevieve, Serene, and Cassidy. And they all scream and cheer. And Andy, you said, I'm so happy you're not a girl who goes woo at everything.
When did that start? The woo definitely wasn't around when I was a kid.
To be fair, they're encouraged to do it to the point where they'll make them do it multiple times until they get enough excitement.
I mean, okay, that's fine. But I hear it outside of The Bachelor as well. I've heard many woos in non-film situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, it's fine. Look, I'm not going to hate on people who yell woo, but I'm just saying there's a lot more woo now than there was when I was a young man. And I want to get to the bottom of it. A lot more likes
and woos.
Yeah. The world is filled with way too much woo and too much like.
Okay, so we have our first group date. Clayton meets the ladies outside a different mansion. Mm-hmm. And in the backyard, there's a group of kids running around and jumping in a bouncy castle. And Ciara shouts, "Oh my God, I'm so excited. I love children."
This is like something you'd expect to hear from a troll who lives in the woods. It's like, I'm so excited. I love children.
Yum, yum, yum. Andy, you said that's the most excited anyone's ever been about a bouncy house without their kids being in said bouncy house.
Unquestionable.
Yeah. So Hilary Duff is our celebrity guest host here. She arrives and Cassidy looks like she might faint because it turns out that she is a huge Hilary Duff fan. But I mean, who isn't a Hilary Duff fan?
I'm even a Hilary Duff fan.
So Hilary Duff for me is a little after my time, generationally speaking.
What's sad for me is Hilary is a grown-ass woman now. And when I was, in my Hilary Duff phase, which I didn't have obviously a phase,
that's
but it was a
way after
phase
your
where
time.
I knew of Hilary Duff pretty prominently.
Yeah.
She was she was a child.
Yeah. For me, Hilary Duff was a little after my time, but I have since become a kind of a big Hilary Duff fan because I've seen a few of her makeup tutorials on YouTube. I think there was a Vogue one and she was so likable in that one tutorial that I'm now a Hilary Duff fan, making up for lost time.
It can't not be a Hilary Duff. You can be a not Hilary Duff fan, but you can't be a not fan of Hilary Duff.
Agreed. She's very likable.
Yes.
It's funny we say that. I'm sure now people will tune in and tell us why they are anti-Hilary Duff.
100%, no question.
Okay, so Hilary says she's a big fan of The Bachelor, and she's the one fangirling right now, which is very Hilary Duff of her to say.
Yeah. I always I find it interesting when a celebrity who's a bigger celebrity than some other celebrities is fanboy or girling over them.
Yeah.
That's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
I'd imagine, maybe it's possible that, George Clooney is a huge Dear Shandy fan. And if I met George Clooney, I'd be like, I know George Clooney, you're a big deal. And he'd be like, no. I am a huge Dear Shandy fan. I don't know how I'd feel about that. I'd feel uncomfortable.
I mean, it's happened to me a few times over the last several years where I've met someone way more famous than me and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm fangirling. I'm such a big fan." And I'm like,
you know what to do.
I don't even know what to say to that.
No. You don't fangirl me.
Yeah.
I fangirl you.
You've got this all wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Maya's birthday, and Maya, I suppose, is one of the children there. And
how did they select these children?
What?
Who are these kids, by the way?
I have no idea.
Whose birthday? Do the kids know each other? If it's a birthday party for a girl, shouldn't she be with her friends? How do we know they're even friends? How do we know these people know each other? This is a sham party.
It is a sham party. I don't think anyone's denying that this is a sham party. Okay, so all the ladies will have duties in setting up the best birthday party ever. And right away we get a shot of Cassidy looking all villainy with villainy music and saying anyone can put on a clown costume. She and Gabby are assigned the task of building a dollhouse. And Cassidy, of course, makes no effort and pulls Clayton to chat while Gabby works alone. And Cassidy is heard saying, "Fuck the dollhouse."
Which, by the way, is a great name for a band.
Okay, so Cassidy chats with Clayton by the pool. Again, chats. She comes on so strong here. Whoa. I don't even think he's that into it, if I'm honest. From a guy's perspective, as a straight man, is that just this is irresistible to me? I can't help myself.
In all honesty, from my perspective, when I've experienced that, which is not obviously all the time, but I have seen that.
Yeah.
You can't take that person seriously as an adult.
Okay.
It feels like you're like, okay, this will be fun and I'll go with the ride, but this isn't like my forever person. This is ridiculous. This is not the dynamic that's supposed to be
sustainable. Yeah. Andy, you said what's funny about The Bachelor is they're basically required to kiss when they're kissed.
Yeah, there's no choice.
Yeah.
It's just like a serving line.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're kissing me? Okay.
Yeah, what is he going to do? He's going to be like, no, not here, not now. Like, he can't do that. He can't shame them. He can't be like, no, you're not getting a kiss. It has to be received. He must kiss whoever kisses.
Oh, that sounds rough.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a rough job.
Gabby in her ITM rightfully says that there is a time and a place for Cassidy's level of aggression, and you have to have intuition about such things, which Cassidy, I think we can all agree, seems to lack. She definitely seems to be playing this up, but we'll circle back to that. Okay, Hilary returns now and brings the children. It's time for the party. The kids are throwing water balloons at Clayton while he's in the bouncy castle. Melina is the clown. She kills it as the clown, I've got to say. I would have hated that role, and she nailed this.
100%.
Clayton says Serene is great with the kids, and she really stood out to him. And he says that they all seem focused on the kids and having a good time, blah, blah, blah. It's all harmonious until, dun, 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 Cassidy is seen saying to the kids' faces that she avoids kids.
I mean,
she's playing this part.
Yeah, obviously.
I don't like villains like this where they're so in on it. Like, she's basically going by the Corinne Olympios playbook to
100%.
me. Cassidy takes the opportunity to chat with Hilary Duff instead of doing her duties. And then she brings out the cake that Genevieve decorated and drops it on the ground. Everyone is really horrified at this. Genevieve looks upset. And the vibe is that the women are upset because they hardly saw Clayton at all that day because he was so occupied with Cassidy. And Cassidy, she's not, see, this is why I feel like she's playing this part. Like, okay, let's say you've never seen this show before and you really think, oh, the way to build my relationship with Clayton is just to steal him at every turn and make enemies along the way. You still wouldn't use the language she uses, which is, she says, as of this day, Cassidy might be a front runner. At every turn in her ITMs, she's using this sort of like gameplay competition language, which, if I'm giving her all the benefit of the doubt that she is authentically this person, that just doesn't track.
No, she's intelligent too. You can tell she's not a dummy.
Oh yeah,
which also adds to the plot.
Which Corinne wasn't either.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think even before she auditioned for this show, I think she had it in her mind, like, I'm going to be this person on the show.
It's funny you use the word audition because it does sound like that's probably what she did for this show when technically you don't audition for The Bachelor.
That's true. It was almost as if they had a day of like, okay, today is the villain auditions. Like, let's see what you got. It's like, I got this one.
Andy, you said, isn't this mostly Clayton's fault? I think he's wallowing in the bounty.
Yeah, he's just everything that's happening. He's just accepting. He's not changing the plot. The plot is coming to him.
Yes, and there's a lot more of that in this episode, unfortunately. I was really hoping for some twists and turns, but someone in the comments last week said that they felt Clayton was cast because he will do what he's told.
Yeah.
And I do not think they're wrong.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, I get it. He's a kid in a candy store. He's like, suddenly all these attractive women want to make out with him and spend time with him and tell him how much he's amazing.
Yeah.
I get it. But he should sit back. It's like, as the reason the kid in the candy store analogy is made is because it's a kid in the candy store.
Yes.
If it's an adult in the candy store, and let's say, okay, you got 5 hours in the candy store, you're a 40-year-old man. You're not going to go crazy and get diarrhea within 5 minutes. You're going to say, like, okay, I'm going to have one piece of candy now. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to look on the emails, and I'll have another piece of, So I'm saying is I don't blame him for being excited, but he needs to understand he's got 6 weeks of women throwing themselves at him.
Yeah.
He needs to chill out. He needs to make some choices here.
You could argue he's just doing his job. Because, of course, he is the one giving Cassidy this power to cause a rift in the house.
He's doing the producer's bidding.
Yes.
He's not doing his job.
Yes.
He's doing the job. He's not doing the viewer's job necessarily. He's doing production's job.
Yeah, and I feel like production wrongly thinks that is the viewer's job, like what the viewers want.
Yeah, I don't
and
think
they have
so.
it all wrong.
You know what happened? One season, I don't remember what season it was. It was probably a long time ago. There was a villain. And they're like, oh, villain. This is good. They like villain. And then they're like, every season, there's a formula for the villain. There shouldn't be a formula. If a villain arises, let them arise organically.
The villains in the old days were way better than this. And also
They were
was
true villains.
Yes, and there was the possibility like a villain could win. And now they're just dead on arrival.
Yeah. What's happened is, along those lines, is the show has become self-aware. And you name one show ever in history that has become self-aware and become better.
Yeah.
It's never happened. Not with a cartoon, not with a sitcom, not with a drama, nothing.
It's
Once you're
true.
self-aware, it's over.
Not that the Bachelor franchise is over.
No. Oh, no.
No.
Not over.
This season is great so far. You
everything's
should
great.
be watching.
Yes, watch the show. Watch the show. Don't just watch our recap. Watch the show and our recap, but not just the recap.
Yeah, we were a little alarmed by how many people in the comments last week said that they are not watching the season, but only watching our recaps because there will be no recaps eventually if no one ever watches the show.
Yeah, it's kind of like an election. You're like, oh, everyone, this guy's obviously going to win. No, let's not vote. And they're like, yeah, that's fine if like
Yeah, if
1% of people do that.
Yeah.
But if 100% of people do that, it's not going to work.
It's true. It's true. So it's a great season so far. And Clayton is a lead unlike any other.
He's the greatest lead possibly of all time. And this is, in all honesty, the most amazing season of The Bachelor in history.
All right. So now it's the evening and they go into Big Daddy Antiques, which, by the way, has been a fixture on this show for a long time. They
Big
often
Daddy.
go to Big
they
Daddy
paid a
Antiques.
lot of money, Big Daddy Antiques. They sell a mean antique.
Our favorite part was one of the women saying, Big Daddy Antiques. All right. And Clayton says, yeah, I love the name of it.
Yeah. Clayton's always good for that great chatter. Always rely on him.
Yeah, good peanut gallery commentary there.
I also enjoy the name Big Daddy Antiques.
All right, so Serene has one-on-one time here. Definitely getting some Serene frontrunner vibes. She's got good music, and they talk about their love of kids. He says there's chemistry, and there's one thing he's been waiting on and doesn't want to wait any longer. And he goes in for the kiss. And
Is this necessary?
to talk about it or for that to happen? Oh,
No, I think no bodily functions of any kind. Anytime you're going to do something that involves the corpus, it should be not spoken of. Not when you eat. You're not like at a dinner, like, okay, let's eat. Let's put the food in our mouths and digest it now.
It's funny you say that because in my notes, I wrote, this makes me think of Bon Appetit. It's like,
yes, exactly.
I have a weird thing about Bon Appetit.
Everything's magic. Going to the bathroom is magic. Eating is magic. Sex is, everything is magic. It happens magically. It's like a cartoon. I don't want to hear about the process. No one does. I don't want to see how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
I don't want to know that a kiss is coming 3 seconds before a kiss is coming.
It's so
Nor do I want to
true.
see someone telling someone else that.
Yeah, it's the introduction. It's like, I've been waiting on something and I don't want to wait any longer. Cue kiss. It feels like, it reads like a script.
It's contrived. It's not romantic.
It feels like an announcement.
Yeah, it should not be announced. It should be done in silence.
Yeah, based on like moves and chemistry and this sort of like the electricity between you. And for me, I don't know, people are probably going to come at me for the Bon Appetit thing. For me, I just don't think it's necessary to have this sort of announcement of, all right, the food has arrived. Now we're all going to put it in our faces. Like, I think it kind of goes without saying.
You know what else I don't like? I don't like when a waiter asks me if I have room left for dessert. Like, I don't want a waiter knowing the intimacies of how full my stomach is with digested food.
You also don't like it when waiters say, are we still working on this?
Oh, God. Yeah. No, I don't like that. And I don't like how is everything tasting. Although how is everything tasting is the best of those things.
Yeah.
Because it's the least associated with the actual biological process of mashing up and digesting food and then excreting it.
We have a lot of issues at restaurants.
Yeah.
So, cut to the girls talking. Cassidy is coming off very arrogant and confident. And Kira confronts her. I gotta say, I really liked Kira in this episode throughout. She's kind of like a voice of reason.
Yeah.
And she's not staying out of it either, though. You know, some people might be reasonable, but they're like, I'm not involved. While Kira's like, you did this shitty thing. I like her.
She's become the district attorney. What's his name? I forgot his name already.
Oh my God. James. It is an insult to Kira to compare
It is, but
her
she's
to James.
taken on that role just in a better fashion.
She confronts her in the group for not contributing on the date, and Cassidy says, I'm not going to apologize for not hanging enough streamers. People like this. I don't like, what can we even say? People like this drive me crazy.
Well, these are the kind of people that you wish it was legal to respond with like a swift bop in the nose.
A bop.
Yeah, not a full punch, just a bop.
It's so frustrating to me when people just sidestep the actual accusation. This generalization, oh, it's just about the streamers. It's not.
Well, the thing is, it's just natural that someone who behaves like that
Would
their whole
also
life would
deflect.
also have
Yes.
the defenses at the ready all the time.
It's so true. Mara says it's not her aggression, but the way she goes about it. And Cassidy, unsurprisingly, is unapologetic throughout. And in her ITM says, game on, bitches. She seems drunk.
She seems drunk a lot, yeah.
She seems like she's A, playing this role, and B, possibly drinking too much.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the drinking's causing her behavior, but it's
No.
amplifying it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Andy, how did you sleep last night?
Moistly.
Yeah, we are without our cozy earth bed sheets while here in Seattle, and you have noticed the difference.
I
and
sure
so have I.
I sure have, like night and day.
Yeah, I feel like that would be taking things to another level for us to bring our bed sheets with us. But since we got here, we kind of wish we had.
And by the way, the sheets here are perfectly fine sheets.
Oh, they're like normal sheets.
Yeah, we're not staying at a Fleabag motel. This is like a decent place with decent sheets.
But there are no cozy earth sheets.
No cozy earth.
In case you're new around here, cozy earth bed sheets are made with viscose from bamboo, meaning that A, they're more sustainable, but also they're cooling, which has made a huge impact on your sleep, Andy, because you are a night sweater.
Yes, unfortunately I am. And we even got a comment from a Shandy last week who had gotten these sheets and they said it changed their life.
Yeah. They said, where have these sheets been my whole life? Which was nice. Yeah, we definitely love our sheets and we can't wait to come home to them.
Yeah.
And you are wearing your lounge pants right now. You're Cozy Earth Lounge.
They are delightful.
Yes.
I wear the S out of these. I don't think you're allowed to curse.
Also worth mentioning, Cozy Earth bed sheets have been on Oprah's most favorite things list for multiple years in a row now. Oprah cannot be wrong.
She cannot.
Nor can she be bought.
No.
Because Oprah is loaded.
No, she cannot be bought, although she will sell, but cannot be bought.
Yeah, it's a good combo.
Interesting paradox.
Yes. And we have a very special deal for the Shandies, our listeners. Our audience can now save 35% on Cozy Earth, but hurry, the offer ends soon.
So don't wait. Go to cozyearth.com, enter our promo code Shandy, and save 35%.
That's cozyearth.com with promo code Shandy.
Cozyearth.com.
So Andy, you and I think, have been blessed with fairly decent heads of hair, but it's not without a little bit of help from Nutrafol, actually. And we both have been using Nutrafol for a while. Fun story, actually. I first was gifted it at an influencer event a couple of years ago, and I brought them home, one for men, one for women, and we have since repurchased it several times. So when Nutrafol came across the Dear Shandy desk as a potential sponsor, we were like, yay!
I was a subscriber already.
Yeah,
I had a monthly subscription. I mean, I've noticed as time has worn on that the robustness of my hair is not what it once was.
I've got to say my hair is not what it was in my 20s, which is depressing. So Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting the 5 main causes of thinning, and those are stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism. You noticed a difference pretty quickly.
I was going through like a stressful
I remember
time.
this. Yeah, you were really freaking out about
and
your
I
hair.
felt like I was like my hair was not, it was like thinning, and I felt like I was losing my hair, and I was getting a little worried. So I jumped on this Nutrafol, which you brought home, and became a subscriber. And I have to be honest, I've noticed differences. I really have.
Oh, and in a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months.
Damn.
That's a pretty good percentage.
So you can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com.
And entering the promo code Shandy to save $15 off your first month subscription.
This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time.
Plus, free shipping on every order.
Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com.
Spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code Shandy. Okay, so Teddy has one-on-one time now. She says she was not expecting this experience to be so intense. and that she has been thinking, does he still like me? He, of course, comforts her, and she openly says she will need a lot of validation. I liked this. I like it when people can just openly be like, just so you know, I will be needing a lot of validation throughout this process.
Yes.
Totally reasonable. And of course, he took the bait and said, of course, he really likes her.
Yeah.
They make out while her legs are spread across him. Her shoes are off and her legs are across him. And there's just a level of like physical intimacy here
Agreed.
that feels beyond their relationship.
Yeah, it feels like they've been dating for a couple weeks.
Yes. And I buy their chemistry for sure, but it still kind of felt like the conversation was, I don't know, a little surface level and just a precursor to more making out.
I agree and disagree.
Okay.
I believe in this.
No, I do too. I just wish we were being shown some conversation between him and Teddy, because I do think she's going to be either the winner or go very, very far. That was more than just, I like you, I feel something with you. Yeah, there's chemistry here.
Have we heard any of that kind of conversation with anybody?
Well, so I was going to get to this later, but you're making a good point. I have been alarmed so far at the types of conversation we're being shown on this season. And I can't tell whether it's Clayton, if he's just not asking questions that are interesting or a little more in depth, or the women, or just the conversations that are just being had. Maybe this is what we're being shown, or it is tradition for the powers that be to show mainly, I like you a lot. I like you a lot. Yeah, there's something here for sure. You know, they do that a lot. But when there's this girl is going to make it very far on this season. Mm-hmm. I want more of a foundation than just, yeah, I like you. I like you.
What about just
talk about something?
What about some playful banter? What about just normal human banter?
Yes, normal human banter.
Everything sounds like a pageant answer.
Yes.
It's like, what would you do to make world peace happen? What I would do to make world peace happen is, that's what every conversation
is. Yeah. They all read kind of like ITMs, actually.
Yeah.
All right, we have a brief montage of one-on-one time with each Sierra, Gabby, and Genevieve. And now we're back at the mansion where Susie gets the one-on-one date card, the least surprising thing ever. Yes.
Yeah. Except for Nate winning the Bachelor.
Yeah.
It's tied for second.
That's true. Yeah, very unsurprising. The music here is kind of all like, ooh, like tense. And because Susie, instead of being like, whoa, it plays up the fact that she's nervous. She's like, oh, I hope there's something there. I hope he likes me. Like, I hope I like him.
Yeah.
I think she behaves like a really normal person, but they make it all like, ooh.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they did that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Trying to drum up drama.
Okay, so back on the date, Cassidy has her one-on-one time now. Clayton says he's seen that she's making every effort with him, and she once again plants her mouth on his, wastes no time. And I wrote, what did they even talk about? It feels like she finds her way to him simply to put her mouth on his.
Yeah. I'm wondering myself, like, is there ever kissing fatigue for The Bachelor? I know I would feel it.
I felt it. I'm going to be honest.
And you were just a contestant.
Yeah. Oh, I can't even imagine, especially since there's no way you want to make out with every single person there. I'm sorry, there isn't.
I got to be honest, like even on a date, like a first date where I was really into the girl, like if we just made out, like we sort of pushed the limits on how long we were making out, I would get to the point where I was like, you know, like, okay, I mean, I think I got my fill here. Like imagine if that's happening with like 7 different people in one night.
Yeah. No, it's
I'm telling you, he's not into the kissing later in the night. Like I'm telling you right now as a man, he's not into it.
I mean, I'm not kidding when I say on my season, there were times where I just didn't want to make out anymore, but there was nothing else to talk about. So it was like, okay, we'll just kiss now. It's funny. They make it seem like every time a couple is interrupted by someone else that the person's really upset. But 50% of the time I was interrupted, I was like, thank God. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
and it's not because I didn't like one puppy. He was a lovely person. It's just that
you have nothing else to say.
It's so awkward. The best time for me was when you're on a date and you're doing things and you can talk about the things. But when you're just sitting and like talking, like let me hear
you're
about
absolutely
you.
Right. Kissing is a form of just breaking the awkwardness.
Yeah.
Because there's always awkwardness. Like, what are we going to talk about? Like, how much more can I tell you how I love kids and love family and think you're tall? Like you just speaking of which.
So Clayton returns. He singles out Serene and Cassidy and then gives the rose to Cassidy. There is no way he was not encouraged to do this, I think. And I wrote in all caps, this is why he was cast. So Clayton leaves, and when Cassidy is asked how she's feeling, she says she's traumatized by the women having come at her, and she says, I'm not saying anything else tonight. So she's the kind of person that plays victim, which is not fun. Okay, and Mara leaves to shed some tears here and says she feels like she's back in college. I feel for her. This might have seemed like an overreaction, but I would say the vast majority of the tears I shed on my season were because of things like this, because you can't escape it. Especially if you're like a little older and you're like, I'm past the point in my life where I want to put up with stuff like this. You have to. You cannot just extricate yourself.
No, it's interesting because no matter how mature or older a group of people are, if you put them in a Lord of the Flies situation, it goes right back to high school.
They used to say in band, when I was in band.
In band camp.
Of course, I played in band.
Yes.
But they used to say that the band is only as good as your weakest player. And I think they say that about everything, really. I don't think it's just about band.
It's mainly about band.
But my point being, I feel like in this situation, even if you have tons of like great quality women, you just put a Shanae in there and a Cassidy in there, and it's just like they can't escape it.
Of course. It's like you're putting a virus in a petri dish.
Ooh. So it's the next day, and there's a girl chat between Shanae and Cassidy, and they seem to criticize how Susie reacted to getting the one-on-one date card, as though her nerves and apprehension mean that she will not last. I'm not sure if I will take their word for it.
I don't buy that math.
Yeah. And Susie now has her one-on-one date. Clayton drives her to a helicopter, and she freaks out. And Andy, you said no one gets that excited about a helicopter.
Yeah, well, helicopters, I find, are in the same family as ziplining. It seems like, oh, wow, this is cool. I mean, look, a helicopter as a piece of technology is incredible.
Yes.
Absolutely incredible. One of the greatest inventions man has ever invented. But it is really just a mode of transportation once you get up there. Unless you're doing tricks, like you're diving and zooming up and like going really low to the ground. It's the same thing as any other mode of transportation. It's a flying machine.
Well, Susie would disagree with you. She says, this is the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. And Andy, you said, says the girl who spent 2 years in Japan. You took great issue with her fascination with the helicopter. Of course, the helicopter flies close to the mansion to show the girls seeing it and being all jealous and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so in the helicopter, I had to write down this exchange because the conversation was scintillating. She says, I feel like you should come to the mansion and cook dinner. And he says, to me, that is a very intimate, like fun moment in a relationship. Like if you cook together, have a little glass of wine, turn on some music. And she says, yeah. That's banter if I've ever heard it.
Bogart and Bacall.
And I'm not blaming her because I actually think Susie is giving a ton. She's like engaging. She's asking questions. Like she's doing a lot. She's pulling her weight. It just feels like Clayton just doesn't, there's no edge. I'm looking for an edge.
I think the theme to Clayton's season is playing it safe.
Yeah.
He's doing, there's nothing, he's never going out on a limb. He's right on the trunk. He's not even going out on a thick branch. He's right on the trunk.
Thick branch.
Yeah, he's like just hugging the trunk of the tree. They're like, you know, you could rest your arm on this very thick, sturdy branch. He's like, no, I'm good. Thank you.
The helicopter lands on a big yacht. Andy, you thought this was pretty cool.
This was cool. This is what a helicopter does. It does cool landings.
As they get close to the boat, Clayton says, how much do you trust me right now? And she says, I'm putting a lot of trust in you because we're very close to the water right now. I wrote, the pilot's like... Like, I feel like the pilot's not getting enough credit right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's like when a surgeon like saves someone's life and they're like, well, thank God. Like, I'm not sure.
They pop champagne and we hear Clayton say that there's more here than he had anticipated. And the focus for him really seems to be on Susie's humility and appreciativeness, which I thought was interesting. I mean, I don't mind that he is zeroing in on something kind of specific there. You know, some vague specificity.
Sure, sort of.
What he's basically saying is she doesn't seem like an entitled brat, which
Exactly.
a lot of people can be and are. So,
absolutely.
yeah. I think it's not a bad thing to be like, oh, she's appreciative. That's nice.
I agree.
Okay, they jump off the boat into the water, and that is that. And in the evening now, Andy, you were impressed with the metal rose holder.
Ooh, yeah, this was a step up.
It's funny to imagine that it's someone's job to find those, like to source like oblong plate-like things to put roses on.
It's an amazing ecosystem. There is someone who's stressed out all day picking rose holders.
Susie says her parents are truly her best friends and they've been married for 35 years. They talk about how it's all about spending as much time with family as possible. Mm-hmm. Susie opens up about her dad having been sick the year before and he was admitted to the ICU. And she says that seeing her mom by her dad's side every day in the hospital was very powerful for her. And Clayton says, yeah, I love that. And Andy, you said, I love the ICU. He says he's drawn to how she seems to see the good in the bad. He says, I want a partner. I want a family. There's nothing else that I want at this point.
No oxygen, no food, no access to bathrooms.
I said, does he ever say anything non-bachelory?
No. He's really a bachelor robot, but he's not he's like the first Terminator. He's not like the T2 or the T1000.
He's not the sophisticated Terminator.
He's not the guy who like melts and then reforms.
Look, I feel bad. I don't want to sound like we're dissing him. And we all know that a Bachelor season is more about the women or like any lead. It's unless you're Michelle. No. Anyone's season is usually more about the contestants than the lead themselves. But yeah. I'm waiting to see a je ne sais quoi here, like an ability to carry a conversation that doesn't seem rote.
Don't discourage people. You got to tune into The Bachelor.
But you should still watch.
ABC, 8 p.m. Monday nights.
Andy, you said, is this what dates are like? I honestly don't think I've ever spoken about these things until fourth date at the earliest.
Yeah, I'm baffled. Like it never, you don't just sit down and like someone's like, oh, this is a nice restaurant. So do you like family? Do you want kids? Do you want to get married? When's your timeline looking like?
Okay, they head to a private concert with Amanda Jordan. And Andy, you said, thank God he said her name. So now I know who she is and I can buy her albums. Not sure you'll be buying her albums because we did not love this song. I feel bad dissing the artist, but Andy, you said this song sounds like a life insurance commercial jingle.
Yeah. Like, wait, I can get all this coverage for $9.99 a month? And I have pre-existing conditions?
Okay, so Clayton gives Susie the rose, surprising nobody. Second group date card arrives now, and going on this date are Marlena, Elizabeth, Kate, Sarah, Lindsay, Rachel, Tessa, and Shanae. Sarah has an ITM, and Andy, you once again saw that she was a 23-year-old wealth management advisor, and you said, how's that wealth doing while she's away? You take great issue with Sarah's occupation.
There's not a lot of emphasis on the management in her job title.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, she's not there. You're asking the same questions her investors are asking. What do you mean I have a wealth manager who's on The Bachelor?
Okay, so they enter a barn that's outfitted like a classroom, and comedienne Ziwe is their host. Mm-hmm. I thought she did great.
She was great.
I find Ziwe really funny.
I also find Ziwe very funny.
Ziwe says she's going to ask them questions to see who's there for the right reasons. And so they play a game of Never Have I Ever. And the first one is sent a nude photo. And Rachel, Kate, Elizabeth, Tessa, and Clayton all admit that they have. Mm-hmm. Faked an orgasm. All the women have done this, apparently. Mm. How sad is that?
Yeah, as I've grown older, I've learned more and more that apparently every woman on earth fakes orgasms.
I am proud to say I have never. I would rather the awkwardness than let the guy think that he succeeded at that. I'm such a sicko. But truly, there have been some awkward moments, but I'm like, nope, just let's just cuddle.
So yeah, you really don't like giving credit when credit is undeserved.
Well, then it also means that when I give credit or a compliment, it is warranted. Like it is deserved. It means more.
What if you're like in a situation where it's like going on and on and on? And you're like, like if this doesn't stop, you just tell them like I'm done. Would you just say that? You're like, I'm good.
More than once, yeah.
Wow, I love you.
I just think no one's gonna get better at what they're doing if they think that they're doing it right when they're not.
Wow, you're doing it to make the world a better place.
Yes.
Amazing.
Anyway,
good for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so the next never have I ever is cheated on my boyfriend. And only Kate and Elizabeth are honest.
There's a lot of liars in that room.
And then the next never have I ever, the final one, is felt judged by the other women. And I feel like this is where Ziwei has been tipped off that there's someone she should focus on, because Shanae says that she has felt judged. And Ziwei is like, Shanae, you lifted your paddle pretty quickly there. And then she talks about how Shanae is timid, but now Shanae-nah is coming out. Ooh. She's more bold. Yeah. And Ziwei says, can you nay-nay? And then she does a dance, and Andy and I realized that we missed out on this cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. I'm so far gone knowing what nay-nay is.
I had to Google nay-nay. I had no idea what was happening here.
I mean, is nay-nay a thing? You can tell us. Is that a thing that we should know?
Yeah.
Are we old if we don't know?
Wait, are we old or should we be embarrassed? Like, it's one or the other. Like, should we know about this or are we just old?
Yeah. It's a binary question. We would like to know, Shandy's, are we old or should we know?
Yeah. Should we know and therefore should we be embarrassed?
Wait a minute. That was the same answer. It's like heads I win, tails you lose. Wait a minute. Are we old or is it okay not to know what the nay-nay is at any age? Those are the two possible answers.
I have a feeling that people are going to tell us that we should know this.
I think we're going to be told in many ways that we should have known what nay-nay is.
Yes. I'm actually kind of dreading this.
Yeah.
I'm hoping some of you tune in to tell us that you also did not know what nay-nay is.
Like pretty much everyone over 50 is going to be like, no, it's fine to not know what nay-nay is. I don't know what nay-nay is.
Yeah. Why is everyone over 50 like a Jewish mother?
Everyone over 50 is an old Jewish mother. That's standard.
So now it's a red flag obstacle course with areas. What do you call these?
Obstacles.
Oh.
It's an obstacle course with obstacles.
So it's a red flag obstacle course with obstacles called thirst trap, breadcrumbing.
I know the breadcrumbing that was weak. It was a stretch.
And emotional walls. The main thing to note here was that Shanae shoves Elizabeth over in breadcrumbing. I gotta say, Elizabeth, yes, was the one shoved, but there was a blonde girl under her who really got the brunt of this, actually.
Is it like the Kennedy assassination Zapruder film? Like if you watch in slow motion, you see that the real victim...
Yes. I think it was Lindsay. I'm not totally sure, but basically Elizabeth was shoved and she fell on another blonde girl who I think was Lindsay, and Lindsay's the one who's like head into the sauce.
So like Lindsay is being crushed and drowning in breadcrumb juice. And she's just like, hello?
It's like, I am the real victim here. Okay, Sarah wins this obstacle course.
Yes. It was a good, I mean, look, it was a rough obstacle course.
And in a moment that feels like it should be Sarah's, I think she won some extra time with him or something. It's all about Shanae. It's just keep shooting to Shanae. It's voiceovers of Shanae's. Mm-hmm. All right. So now it's the evening and they're back at Big Daddy Antiques.
Big Daddy Antiques. They bought the bulk advertising package on The Bachelor.
My favorite part was as they walked in, we hear a girl say, maybe he loves antiques.
What 6'9", 400-pound football player doesn't love antiques?
It made me think that maybe the women who had gone on the first group date came back and were like, oh yeah, we went to this antique store. And then the second group was like, oh, more antiques. Okay, so Elizabeth grabs him first. Of course, Shanae is upset about this. Elizabeth has her one-on-one time and they play some more Never Have I Ever. We learn that they both freestyle rap. And then she says, never have I ever kissed the Bachelor. And he says, we can change that as he moves in her direction. Yeah, not our favorite.
I would have just left her hanging. I'd be like, good point. Anyway.
Meanwhile, Shanae is all upset because she thinks Elizabeth is fake. Sarah has her one-on-one time. They talk about how natural it feels between them. How he can tell she's there for the right reasons. In general, this conversation just really stands out from the rest. It's so different in so many ways.
It's just magnificent.
And they make out. And now we have a montage of one-on-one time. First with Marlena, where she reveals she's an Olympian. I gotta say that's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also like...
I mean, that's it.
Let's get more from Marlena. I would love to know more about Marlena. And now Rachel has one-on-one time, but it is in a montage, I have to mention. Just her saying she's worried her feelings are not reciprocated, and he assures her that they are. And now Shanae has her one-on-one time. She cuts to the chase and says that there are red flags in the house. And she mentions Elizabeth and says that she's two-faced. Her explanation is that Elizabeth was really nice to her one day, that they connected, and then the next day she ignored her or didn't look at her while she was talking to her.
That's amazing. What?
Yes, yeah. Shanae is a different kind of villain than Cassidy to me, but we'll get back to that.
She's like disturbed. Like,
There's
what is she talking about?
Yeah. If you're so bothered by it, be an adult and go up to the person.
But also, like, you're in a house with God knows how many other women vying for some man on national television, and you're pissed off and you air it to the whole group because someone doesn't really want to be your friend.
I mean, if that is even what happened, because as we will see more examples of later, Shanae tends to twist the truth. Yeah. So I actually question whether or not this even happened like this at all. I agree. But we'll circle back to that. So Clayton confronts Elizabeth now. I wrote, he's so obedient. Because there's no way that he was allowed to just rest on this.
No.
He says he's heard there's tension between Elizabeth and Shanae and that he's heard she's two-faced. Elizabeth seems shocked. I felt really bad for her.
I would have been shocked too.
Yeah.
She seemed like she didn't, not only shocked like, oh, this is a terrible thing to say. She's like, I don't understand what's going on
Yes. Here. She says that Shanae actually knocked her over and she wasn't even going to mention it because she was focusing on the relationship. And she says, I'm here to have conversations with you and see if your and I's relationship is something that could go somewhere. Sorry, Andy. Your and I's.
Your and I. It sounds like a song. Your and I and your.
How did you like last night's dinner, Andy?
Restaurant quality.
Yes, we always gauge the success of a HelloFresh meal by whether or not it's restaurant quality, if we could picture ourselves getting it at a restaurant. And HelloFresh never fails to deliver.
No, they don't. They don't fail to deliver on quality, but they also don't fail to deliver on ease. Mm-hmm. Ease of use.
Yes.
I'm never struggling in there. I'm never cursing.
Yeah.
I curse a lot in the kitchen.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You do. And it says something about how much we cannot go without our HelloFresh by the fact that we have gotten it delivered here in Seattle multiple times. You can actually see some of the menus in the background over there.
Can you actually see them?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, yeah, you can see them.
We're not lying to you. HelloFresh, in case you've been living under a rock, is a meal delivery kit where they send to your door all the ingredients that you could possibly need, and you can whip up a healthy and fresh meal at home.
And also, I think a lot of people who aren't familiar with meal kits probably think like it's just a box filled with a bunch of crap, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not. It's each meal is in its own separate little bag that is paper.
Yes,
recyclable.
Yeah. Oh,
and
jinx.
within that bag, great minds.
It's a very orderly delivery.
It's orderly. You just take that little paper bag out, you open it, and the meal is just, it's begging. There's little bags in there that are begging, like, please cook me with ease.
Exactly. And we have a special deal for our listeners, the Shandies. Go to HelloFresh.com/Shandy14, 14, the number, and use code Shandy14 to get up to 14 free meals plus 3 gifts.
So again, that's HelloFresh.com/Shandy14 and use code Shandy14 to get up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts.
So Elizabeth and Clayton part ways, and then Elizabeth asks to talk with Shanae. I thought she seemed really nice about this.
Amazingly nice and diplomatic.
Yes.
More so than maybe I've ever seen on the franchise.
She is a real adult.
As much as I would have wanted to be adult, I would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? What the hell was that?
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah. She manages to rise above it. She pulls her aside and directly, but not remotely aggressively, says that she's upset with Shanae. And Shanae says that she's upset with Elizabeth. Her main complaint is that Elizabeth didn't seem to respond to her properly or look at her while she was speaking with her. And now Elizabeth explains that it's hard for her to have multiple auditory inputs and process them because she has severe ADHD and has since she was a kid. She says she was probably just trying to concentrate on what Entzi had been saying to her in that moment. And Shanae says, okay, but continues to complain about the same thing. And Elizabeth's like, I just explained this to you. And Shanae says, but this is how I felt.
Oh, Shanae's a bit of a spoiled brat, huh?
Shanae, and talk about insensitive and ignorant.
A lot of problems here.
A lot of issues here. She says Elizabeth was one way, 1 minute, and then a different way the next, and that's two-faced. And she works herself up into tears over this. And I wrote, can you imagine dating this person?
Ooh.
Like, they don't even have this lifelong friendship or anything. They apparently, according to her, they just bonded over something in one day. Can you imagine?
It's just nonstop handful.
Yes.
Your hands are always full and overflowing with this woman.
Yes. Of her playing victim. Oh my God. The
and
victim
creating
playing.
drama out of nothing, getting on your case about things that you didn't do that she may have misinterpreted because she's insecure about
That's what
shit.
gets me is the lack of any reflection that, oh, maybe I misinterpreted this. She is always the victim.
Yeah.
Everyone else is at fault.
Yeah.
If she was made to feel this way, it's their fault. Never mind whatever explanation, no matter how incredibly valid it may be. It was unbelievable to me that Elizabeth did not even have to share this, but she was just explaining that it wasn't personal. And Shanae continued to make it personal.
She literally could have, in one phrase, just like, bitch, please. That could have been it. That could have been it. She could have walked away.
Yeah.
And that would have been that. And she would have been in the right.
Yes. Because Shanae is being completely unreasonable.
Yeah.
She's being an absolute child. Anyway, Elizabeth, because she's an adult, she's 32. And I got to say, hold on, I want to check Shanae's age because it felt like you were watching people from different generations talk to each other. Okay, Elizabeth's 32 and Shanae is, guess.
24.
29.
Oh, that's unacceptable.
You would expect a little different.
Yeah, she's a grown-ass woman.
Yeah. You would never imagine that it's a 3-year age difference there. So Elizabeth rises above this and diffuses the situation and says that she doesn't want Shanae to feel hurt and she validates her feelings. Wow.
Amazing.
She is, wow.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed. I don't think I could have handled this so well. And she says she'd love to move forward. She asks Shanae for a hug and they seem to end this on good terms.
You know what this was? It was a master class in diffusing immature behavior from an adult.
Yes. Clayton now returns to the group. He gives the rose to Sarah. And then afterwards, because clearly they're prompted to talk about it, by the way. So Clayton leaves and then a producer's like, so how do you guys feel? What do you think happened?
Sure,
blah, blah, blah. And Elizabeth jokes that she's sad Shanae had time. And Shanae's like, what? Are you coming after me? And she says, no, because of the content, which to me was obvious. Like I think you should be able to make a joke about it, especially
of course,
since she had made such an effort to smooth things over. Shanae pounces on this and they go at it once more. And Shanae says out of nowhere, you said you have ADHD.
Amazing.
In front of the whole group.
Unbelievable.
What I loved is how the other women instantly were like, that's inappropriate.
And remember, she's not just telling everyone in the room something that's inappropriate and personal.
Yes.
She's telling America.
America. It's so true.
Well, less America than previously, but still a good chunk of America.
What do you mean? Oh, because Elizabeth had already shared it.
That was the ratings are down. About 40% less of America knows about her condition than they used to, but still totally wrong.
Shanae accuses Elizabeth of having said she loved her. And Elizabeth's like, I never said that.
Like who in the same sentence accuses someone falsely of loving them?
Yes.
And airs out their extremely personal information.
Yes, yeah. And to me, I wrote one example where we have actual footage. So the other exchange, the first exchange that Shanae has beef with, we never saw, or we were never shown. And meanwhile, this we have footage of. I actually rewound because I was like, I think Elizabeth's right, but I just want to make sure. She never said she loved her. No. And so we'll put a pin in that on how easily Shanae will make something up out of nowhere to make herself look better.
And by the way, just in case it was left on the cutting floor, a little I love you, I guarantee it wasn't like, Shanae, I love you.
It just makes you wonder how much of what she says is ever the truth anyway. Yeah. I wrote, she seems like a child who never once got reprimanded for bad behavior. All right, so now it's the rose ceremony cocktail party. We see some ladies talking about how shit is going to go down. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Cassidy is coaching Shanae on how she should not have beef. I love how Cassidy's like, come here, young grasshopper. Let me teach you the ways.
This is how you are a villain.
Yes.
Your villainy is not going very well now. We can make it better.
Clayton arrives, and first up is Eliza with one-on-one time. She did not get a date this week, and they work on a scrapbook together. And Andy, you said, notice no likes. And we rewound and rewatched this conversation with Eliza. She is so well-spoken. There was no like
not
this, like that, like this, like that.
Like, not, I watched from the beginning, from the second she came on screen to the second she exited, not one like. It's unprecedented.
Unprecedented.
She actually did use the word like, but in the actual correct usage of the word like.
We were very impressed with Eliza. We finally got to see a bit of her, and she did not disappoint.
Exposure to international cultures.
Yeah, I got to say, there is just a sophistication to Eliza that stands out. You can just see it.
It really does.
Okay, so now we have a montage of one-on-one time with first Jill, then Hunter, and then Gabby with a giant pillow of Clayton's face. I like Gabby. She's funny. And Clayton says in his ITM, this is about as good of a night as I could ask for, and no drama. Cue drama. Shanae now asks to speak with Elizabeth, and she starts going at her again in front of the mansion. And Elizabeth is, I wrote, a fucking champ. And she is the one stating facts, and she's not getting worked up. Shanae says she thought they were on the same page the day before, and Elizabeth says, no, we were not. And Shanae says mockingly, so is it your ADHD or is it me you have a problem with?
She's really just, I mean, it's distasteful to the point where you physically feel uncomfortable.
I felt a little sick watching this. Yeah. Like we can't make fun of this.
No.
It's not make funnable. It's just inappropriate and ignorant.
I'm actually almost surprised they even kept it in. It's so distasteful.
I can see why they didn't cut it, just because it does seem like a major talking point of all the drama. But I felt so bad for Elizabeth here. Can you imagine someone airing this out and using it against you? You told her this information as an explanation to tell her that it wasn't anything against her. It was actually you. She was saying, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
And then Shanae is saying, oh, this thing you told me, and making fun of it.
Let's also remember, what was the crime that Elizabeth committed? Like, what is this all rooted in? Because she didn't look at her enough during a conversation they were having, a group conversation? Are you kidding me?
It's scary.
That's what brought upon all of this?
Genuinely scary.
What happens when someone does something actually terrible to Shanae?
That's what I'm saying. Like, can you imagine dating someone with this kind of personality who never gives you the benefit of the doubt? She's always the victim. So Elizabeth says that this is inappropriate, rightfully, and Shanae, once again, she cannot process something like this and be like, maybe she's right. Instead, she doubles down and asks Elizabeth if she's telling everyone in the house that she has ADHD. Elizabeth says Shanae already did that for her. And Shanae says she never told anyone, and that she, in fact, has ADHD.
Oh, I'll raise your ADHD.
Shanae accuses Elizabeth of using it as an excuse. And once again, I have to point out, Shanae here's saying that she never told anyone this, when we all saw it. That's another blatant lie.
Shanae is
which makes you once again think the first interaction where she had beef with Elizabeth in the first place, did that even happen?
You can't trust anything now.
No.
And not that we trusted it in the first place.
Yeah, it sounded ridiculous even from her. Like, she's speaking from her side of things. It already sounded ridiculous. And now, as we're learning more about their personalities and the fact that she lies so freely, I think this is all based on nothing.
I think she's a little tweaked. A little tweaked in the head.
Elizabeth politely excuses herself from the conversation, which I was so impressed by.
She also extricated herself at the exact right time.
Yeah.
At the exact right time where there was absolutely no point in giving this woman the respect
Yes.
of continuation.
Yes.
She exited.
And
without a fuss.
Yes.
Just like, this is over now.
She is so classy. I was unbelievably impressed with Elizabeth.
I'm jealous of her conflict resolution and handling.
Same.
I'm literally, I feel envy about it.
It was really impressive. So as Elizabeth goes back into the mansion, Shanae shouts after her that she's the one with ADHD.
It's unbelievable.
And subsequently in her ITM, she laughs about Elizabeth's, according to her, so-called ADHD. She's fully laughing about it. Yeah. I wrote, was this woman born yesterday? She's a horrible combination of ignorant about the condition and not remotely curious or empathetic enough as to how it might affect someone else, which tracks with the ignorance. How much time do you think Shanae spends thinking about other people's experiences, other people's conditions, other people's reasons for doing what they do? It's all about her. It's scary.
Yeah.
And look, I'm the first person to be like, you're in this weird environment. This brings out the worst in people. She's certainly being egged on by a producer in her ITMs. There's no doubt about that. Who do you think she's laughing about her so-called ADHD with?
Well, yeah, maybe a producer was like, what do you think about this ADHD thing?
Yeah, it's actually very possible. I would lean like 80, 90% likely. So yes, all these things are going to bring out the worst, but you cannot blame the environment for the rest of this. I'm sorry.
No, she's an adult. She's a 29-year-old woman. She can control herself.
And by the way, they only just got there. It's not like you can say, oh, she's been there for 5 weeks. It's getting to her. I usually like a villain who is not in on it the way Cassidy is. Like Cassidy's playing this role and I'm like, I don't want to watch some like C-level actor on The Bachelor. You know what I mean? I want to watch someone who's a villain. It happens naturally. But then we get Shanae and it just makes me sick to my stomach.
But she's not a villain. It's a disrespect to the word villain. A villain usually has charisma in a way.
Yeah.
But they've chosen to use it for evil.
Yeah.
Shanae just is not nice.
Okay, so now the women confront Shanae. I really loved how the women kind of rallied around Elizabeth with this. And it's about as unproductive as you would imagine because Shanae deflects blame at every turn and plays the victim. Even Cassidy, Shanae's sensei.
Well, Cassidy's just jealous because someone else is taking her villain role. He's like, I'm the villain here. You're student. I'm villain.
Even Cassidy seems to turn on Shanae here and tells her to cut her losses. I wrote, she's more savvy than Shanae.
Yeah.
Way more savvy.
Yeah, and she's really not that savvy. No.
The quote of the night to me belongs to Kate after this conversation. She says, I feel brain dead after that interaction. I think that's how we all felt. It's like you're dealing with a 5-year-old. Yeah. What can you say?
Agreed.
You can come in with the most sound arguments as to why they did what they did was offensive and why they owe the person an apology. She was like, maybe that was wrong of me to do, but it's because like she couldn't do it.
You know, sadly, I find the best strategy with people like this is to ignore them. You're never going to get anywhere arguing with them.
Yeah.
Just ignore them because what they want in the end is attention.
By the way, I do like Kate. I have to mention this. She reminds me of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Ooh, that's high praise from you.
It is very high
Big
praise.
Buffy fan.
I'm wondering if anyone else sees it. And she just seems smart and mature and all the things. Okay, so now Cassidy has more one-on-one time. Clayton says, it's bold to do what you're doing. I thought this was a funny non-compliment.
Yeah.
And she prompts him to tell her that he likes her. Again, that's a little cringy. And now Sierra reveals that Cassidy has a fuck buddy back home. It turns out, and we see footage now of Cassidy telling Sierra about this guy who had texted her while she was still in the hotel. And Andy, you said, why would you tell someone in the house this information?
How drunk do you have to be to say something that stupid? How can you trust these people who are all going to try to stab you in the back at some point?
Yeah, especially if you continue to be so unlikable.
Right.
You're not giving them any reason to keep your...
Yeah, it'd be different if she was an angel.
Yes.
Like she was playing the role of the sweetest girl in the house.
Yeah.
But she's clearly has decided to be the villain and she's telling people maybe that's part of her grand plan. She wants him to find out about that. Or am I giving her too much
You're
credit?
giving her way too much credit. I'm trying to figure Cassidy out because on the surface, you're like, okay, she's playing this role for airtime. She's being that person.
Yeah.
Like it's obvious. But then she does something like this, and then she'll use language like, oh, I'm a front runner. Like she's using this gameplay terminology basically. And I'm confused because to me, that's 101. You don't do that. You don't do this. It's idiotic.
I agree. Unless she has a legitimate boyfriend and she's like, I'm going to go on The Bachelor, watch. It's going to be hilarious. I'm going to get a bunch of Instagram
But why? That
followers.
still doesn't explain why she would tell Sierra.
I'm just saying it's maybe like she planted it because she wanted it to come out. She wants to be a lightning rod in the season.
Oh, I see what you're saying. She just wants as much airtime as humanly possible.
She wants no part of being engaged to Clayton. She wants even no part of being in the final few people to make it really stressful. She wants to just make a big splash and go back to her boyfriend.
She wants to ensure that her coming on this show is not for nothing. She has to be the focal point in at least 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah. I'm giving her a lot of benefit of the doubt here. I don't think I'm right.
I think you're being way too generous.
I think you might be right.
I think that she is playing that role and then the rest of the time she's just short-sighted.
So that's,
It's a pretty big diss.
yeah,
But
it's Occam's razor.
yes.
Or is it Oxum's razor? Anyway, it's someone's razor. It's basically that the most likely reason is the most likely reason. I mean, the most likely reason is probably the reason.
So now Sierra has her one-on-one time where she tells Clayton about Cassidy's friends with benefits back home. Apparently they've been friends with benefits for a long time and they had FaceTimed while she was still in the hotel about to film. And apparently he said he would do nasty things to her when she got back.
That's not nice.
And it would be cuddling season, meaning they intend to hook up again after and watch the show together.
All of a sudden, cuddling season and nasty things, they don't jive for me. Don't seem
you
like
could argue it's a well-rounded relationship if you can do all of those.
No, you're right. You're right. If you can cuddle and do nasty things, then
Yeah.
you are absolutely right. I take it back.
Clayton seems very flustered by this information. Like very flustered.
As he should be.
And now Jesse descends. And Clayton asks him, has anyone ever taken a rose back before? And then it says, to be continued. Dun, dun, dun.
That's the weakest cliffhanger in the history of
Who
cliffhangers.
cares? I don't care.
Who cares?
I don't care about Cassidy. We know she's not going anywhere. Even if she sticks around for this rose ceremony. Like, it's just a matter of time.
No one, this is not a cliffhanger.
Look, I understand that this show needs to have drama. I get it. But we still care about a love story.
Yeah.
Why can't we see a bit more of the conversation with Teddy, for example? That's not just I like you, you like me. It just feels like we're not getting good villainy or good drama, and we're not getting good romance. Like, what's in it for us? I feel like we're watching the same thing we've seen a million times, with different faces.
I agree. I have faith it's going to get better.
Yeah, don't stop watching.
ABC, 8 p.m., Monday.
I don't know if we're selling it well. I genuinely went into this one being like, we should encourage the Shandys to keep watching. And then I watched episode 2 and I was like,
Uh-oh. We'll make a new rule is if you want to win the word watch, you also have to send a screenshot of you watching The Bachelor in your home.
oh man. All right. So that brings us to the end of episode 2. We survived, Andy.
We made it, barely.
We're on to our word watch. There were 0 talls.
0.
0 talls in episode 2. A lot of people guessed 0.
A lot. There were 62 correct 0 guesses and well over 1,000 guesses overall.
Okay. And
People really want that Ana Luisa.
yes. And we have our winner.
We do.
Congratulations to Jacqueline Woodside. You win a very good prize, which is 3 pieces from Ana Luisa Jewelry. And so be sure to send us an email by this Friday at midnight, and we will give you some more information about that. And so, Andy, do you have a new word for episode 3, which is 2 weeks from now, by the way?
Yes. In honor of there being 0 talls, we got to get a more meaty word for next time. And that word is drama.
Drama. Okay. I can picture there being a few of those.
There's a couple.
So in case you are new around here and have no idea what we're talking about, if you play the Shandy Word Watch, then you have a chance to win a
Hello, Tushy Bidet.
Yay! I was like, okay, yay!
They're back.
They're back. Hello Tushy is back, and very good prize. And so to enter, you can either comment below this YouTube video or over on the Instagram post for this recap the number of times you expect the word drama to be uttered in episode 3. Do not DM us. Do not email us. And do not comment on other Instagram posts. This is becoming a problem.
Problem for them.
Yeah,
for
it's
us.
a problem for you. You're just not entered. If you want a chance to win, we want you to have a chance. So don't email us. Don't do that.
Email us. You can email us. As a matter of fact, we encourage you to email
Yeah.
us. Just don't email us the
Your
word
guess.
watch number.
Yes. And you will guess using the numeral of the number of times. So if you think it'll be uttered 5 times, you will use the 5. You will not write out 5. And you must do so by Friday at midnight. Yes, from there we will round up the correct guesses and randomly select one person to win a Hello Tushy bidet. Yay. And finally, Andy, our predictions. Who do you have in your top spot?
Remaining in top spot is Susie.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Do you have any explanation, or is it just sort of self-explanatory?
I think it's going to take hell and high water for someone to overtake Susie's wave of momentum.
I can see that. I mean, Susie is definitely a front runner. I still think she's going to be Bachelorette, personally. Ooh. Yeah, I know that's like a long-term prediction, but I just think she's going to be Bachelorette.
What sinks Susie? What sinks Susie?
What sinks her?
Yeah.
I can see her leaving, or maybe he just has something stronger with someone else. I don't know how it's going to happen. I just predict that Susie will be Bachelorette.
All right. I respect
She's
that.
just got the look. She's got the kind of look that they do everything in their power to make Bachelorette.
So Clayton's like, I really want to pick Susie. They're like, no, Clayton, you can't pick Susie. Susie's best friend. He's like, but I want to pick Susie. No. Nope, down. Sit, stay, good. Go.
So I have kept Rachel. I can never remember Rachel's name. I have kept Rachel in my top spot. I know that seems like a weird choice because we saw almost none of Rachel this week. However, I am sticking to my guns that I think that something will happen. Yeah. We still saw a brief bit of one-on-one time with her. And I don't know. I think they're throwing us off the scent on purpose. But I could be wrong. We'll see what happens next week. But I'm sticking to my guns. Rachel, number 1. Who's in your second spot?
Still Teddy.
I still have Teddy in my second spot. I thought about switching them, but it just seems a little too obvious. So I'm going to leave Teddy in second spot. And who do you have in your third spot, Andy?
Still Genevieve.
Still Genevieve. Okay. I have Susie still in my third spot. No changes here.
Wow, third spot.
I know that sounds crazy because she just seems like she has the star power. But I actually am not sure that I don't see what she's getting out of this relationship. I'll put it that way.
I don't think it's important what she's getting out of it. She has no choice.
Yeah, I just don't feel like Clayton is up to snuff. Like, I feel like she's a little more like she's a better conversationalist, and maybe she'll realize it at some point.
This litmus test has not proven meaningful in many or all of the past seasons of the show.
That's true.
So
I'm just determined for Susie to be Bachelorette.
Yeah. And I'm starting to feel that you might be right, which makes me feel a little less confident in my first choice. But I'm sticking with it. Anyway.
Okay. Who do you have in your fourth spot?
I have Rachel. Same. I have the same top 4 as I did last week.
Okay. All right. I made one slight change to my top 4, and that was I bumped Genevieve for Gabby.
Oh,
because
Gabby.
I found it alarming that in that first group date, we didn't see any one-on-one time between Genevieve and Clayton. And I think that if she did make it really far, we would at least get a montage one-on-one time or something just really brief. And meanwhile, with Gabby, she's actually been kind of featured. We were shown one-on-one time with her at that rose ceremony. We did not with Genevieve once again. And Genevieve brings a lot to the table in terms of humor. And I think Clayton doesn't. And therefore he finds her really amusing. Like he laughs with her. And I think that's really powerful.
I agree. I in the same vein was contemplating bumping Serene up and replacing Rachel, but
You could.
I'm sticking with Rachel.
You sure?
I already said it. It's over.
All right.
It's in the books.
Okay. All right, Andy. Kind of a...
Meh.
I feel like this wasn't our finest, but look, we were working with a turd here, okay?
Yeah, an unpolished turd.
And a very unpolished turd. And yeah, but you should still watch.
Yeah, always watch. You have to watch. This is an important viewing.
The worst sales pitch ever. Well, if you somehow enjoyed what you heard today, then you can subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us Apple and Spotify podcast ratings and reviews, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast that is working so hard with such unpolished turds. And on that note, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye.
Dear Shandy.